If you're anything like me, then you're gonna have a gazillion of knit or crochet projects that you want to make, and I need to seriously have a little brainstorm of all of the projects that I want to make, or the ideas that I have, or the things that I'm absolutely obsessed with. There's a lot going on in my brain. My hands, they don't move fast enough to create all of those things. So for this summer, I unconsciously had a certain project criteria when I was selecting which things I want to make, just to kind of help me narrow down all of those projects ideas that I save over time. Now, I totally support the idea of you have an idea, you see a pattern that you like, and you just do it. You don't really think about the use of it. You just make it because you love it. I'm all for that. However, over the years, I have become very aware of the shapes I like, the fit I like, what items I actually wear a lot. So I really want to focus on all of those areas a little bit more for the summer especially. I thought before I go into the projects I want to make this summer, I would just quickly run through my criteria just to give it some context, what kind of projects I'm actually looking for. And also maybe if you're struggling to select your summer projects, maybe this is helpful. Now, my main project criteria are my summer plans, and this is quite new. I would usually base my criteria on my outfit inspo and things I've been pinning recently, but this summer I'm very much basing it on what I've actually got planned. This is the first summer where like pretty much every weekend is like busy. I've got plans every weekend, so I very much know what's going to happen in June, July, August, September. The reason why I'm focusing on that is I want to prioritize practicality and need. So I'm going to think about what outfits am I going to wear for certain things this summer and what would be useful or look cute when I'm doing those things. I don't want to just make things for single occasions or like a 1 week holiday that I'm going on, because I feel like if you spend so many hours on knitting or crocheting something and you only get to wear it like 3-4 days in the year and maybe never again because you don't go on that holiday again, I feel like that's kind of a bit of a waste of my time. Anyways, again, absolutely don't have a problem when other people do it. It's just for me, I know I want to get multiple wears out of the things that I make. I'm basing it on my entire life. So the life I'm picturing for me this summer is sitting out in the sun, in the grass, in a park, at the beach, walking around the city with friends, going from pub to pub, sitting in the garden, hosting friends for barbecues, swimming in the lake, going on lots of walks. So a lot of outdoorsy time, a lot of time spent with friends. I found it a lot more helpful to base my projects on that vibe rather than just like a Pinterest outfit board, you know? However, that takes me to my second criteria, and that is my outfit inspo. Rather than identifying items that I'm missing in my wardrobe from this Pinterest board, I'm kind of looking for common themes. What have I been pinning a lot of that clearly shows that I like that thing? What am I actually wearing a lot in my everyday life? Can I make another version of that in knit or crochet? And then I also use that to look for color theme. When I have identified a project that I want to make, then I go on my outfit mood board and inspo and I look for common color themes that I'm pinning a lot and clearly loving. For me, that is a lot of white, black, and vibrant colors like red, green, and blue. I have to say though, with the colors, I'm less strict. I'm more open to fun color themes depending on what yarn I have available pretty much. Let's get into some things that I want to knit and crochet this summer. If I had an infinite amount of time, realistically, I won't be making all of this. But some inspo for you, some inspo for me. This is what I'm into summer 2025. Starting off strong, we've got filet crochet. I am obsessed with this. I am so obsessed with this, in particular in a dress top type combo, very much this kind of cut of top, but then you have the top filet and then like a wide A-line mini dress, flowy dress vibes. This very much seems like an easy enough DIY, and I actually started making the top of one of these because I have some white fabric upstairs that I could then like attach to that, but I am actually kind of struggling deciding on a design. And I think I also need to get a thinner yarn. I think I need to get a 1-ply because at the moment I'm using a 4-ply and I don't like when it looks chunky. I think it needs to be like a tiny lace weight yarn to really make the motif stand out more. I have found with a 4-ply it's not as obvious what the motif is doing because everything's kind of quite like big. Any other like filet stuff I love as well, just like a full-on filet top. I also really want to make a filet tapestry and like hang it somewhere in the house. I think that would be so cute. That gets me into the next thing, very similar. I love anything lacy or embroidery at the moment. So whether that's like little tiny lace details in a knit tank top or some kind of like scalloped edges around the tops. Obviously lace and embroidery are more sewing aspects, and I do really like that within sewing. But I think that like essence can be applied to knit and crochet just by adding cute little whimsical details. For crochet, even using like a little popcorn stitch just to add a little bit of like texture to something. And also once you've kind of figured out some lace type stitches, it is actually a really easy project to take on, and it makes knitting or crocheting a basic piece a lot more interesting because you at least have like some kind of stitch variety going on as well. Then I love a good keyhole design top or dress, either for like a front neck v-neck or backless. I always love backless. When else am I gonna show off my back tattoo if not in the summer? And I need something backless to do that. I especially love when it's not just like flat backless, but when the back still comes together at the top, whether that's through a bow, or I'm especially obsessed with a button like closure at the top, and then it just kind of goes out into like a keyhole design at the back, or same at the front. Obviously it's really good if you have a top that you can swap around, so you can wear it either way depending on the kind of day you're having. I was reminded of this when I saw Loopy Studio post this amazing top that they've made, and it had the same like button closure, which made the keyhole design just so much more dramatic and interesting. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people that very much believes in crochet being for summer and knit being for winter, not as like a die-hard rule to follow, like you can do whatever you want, but for me, I find myself being drawn to crochet so much more in the summer and to knit way more in the winter. So I think the keyhole design thing would actually be something that I would prefer to knit rather than crochet. So maybe this will be my like one knit design this summer, which is so interesting because a lot of my pattern inspo type videos are always very knit focused because I just prefer knit design so much more. But this is the first video where I was struggling to include some knit stuff, so all of you crocheters out there, eat your heart out, this is going to be the video for you. Then the next thing I'm obsessed with is a completely new obsession. I would have never thought that that is something I get into within my knit and crochet stuff, but it is ponchos. And you know what started this was I found this black and white striped poncho at a charity shop, and I just thought, let's try it on. And it is so cute, and I love the shape of it, and it actually makes so much sense to wear a poncho in the summer because you get like the airflow while still being somewhat covered, whereas with like a cardigan or jumper you're very much tied in, and it can get a bit hot under the armpits, especially as a sweaty girl, you know. I know the feeling, but with a poncho you don't have that issue. And then whatever weird sorcery they have going on with the Pinterest algorithm, it then started showing me poncho designs, especially with crochet. Again, I'm like obsessed with these two designs in particular. One, we have this like granny square filet crochet type vibe with the tassels, and then we also have this granny stitch one, which seems like easy enough to make. Considering I already have the poncho that I got in the charity shop, I don't know if this will be a project that I choose over others. Then the next thing is headbands and bandanas. This has been an obsession through previous years as well. However, headbands especially and bandanas I've always struggled with because I don't think I have the right head shape for them. They always like fall off or don't stay in place. I don't know if my hair is really slippery or if I have like a really weird head shape, like if my head is just so flat at the back that nothing like stays there. I don't know. However, I didn't want to give up on my dream of, you know, having a nice headband, head wrap, headscarf, bandana, whatever this summer. So I actually had a little play around with some, and I did end up making this headband, which turned out so cute. I made it in a few colors actually. I think I have it. Oh yeah, I have it in black as well, and I'm sure I'll be making a few different colors of this because I'm literally obsessed with it. It is currently being pattern tested. I think the pattern for these will come out at some point this month. I haven't set a date yet, but whenever the pattern test is finished, I guess I'll share that one with all of you. I also made a bandana. Hold on. I actually have no idea where I put it, but it was like a white bandana type thing, which I think I'm still gonna adjust a little bit. I might have made it a little bit too small and I want a bit more coverage over the head. And then I also randomly was working on this cardigan, which we will get to in a second. But as I was making the bottom of it, I just like randomly folded it around my head, and I really loved how that looked. So I think I'm gonna recreate this cardigan, but in a headscarf shape type form, so I can wear that in the summer because I love the look of that as well. Moving on to this cardigan that I've been working on. I saw this very specific image of a purple like mesh shell crochet design short sleeved cardigan, and I absolutely love that, and I wanted to create something similar, but I still wanted it to be a long sleeve. So I actually finished the second sleeve of this earlier today, and I just love anything that's like a bit more meshy for like summertime. However, this one sadly turned out a little bit too small, and I genuinely yesterday considered whether I should frog it and start again, but honestly I've spent way too much time on this to even consider that. So what I think I'm gonna do instead is try and like add some sections to the front here, and then it will be fine. Like at the back it sits fine. I think I must have just split the arms wrong. My maths sometimes isn't the greatest, so this is a great example of that. It's a bit tight, but yeah, this is one of those pieces that I can definitely see myself wearing throughout the entire summer, kind of walking around the city in the evenings. You know, you throw this on, but this would also be a really cute piece to take on holiday with me when I'm at the beach or at the pool. Just kind of throw this on throughout the day or in the evening. Yeah, I really hope I'll be able to somewhat add some sections here without it looking really strange, because I really like it, and I really like this colour on me, weirdly. I would have usually never gone for this, but this is really cute. So yeah, I'm gonna hopefully finish this after I film this video actually. Now I've also been very obsessed with Raglan tank tops, because I think the beauty in making Raglan tops is that they kind of end up looking like baby tees, and they are so easy to just freehand or quickly whip up. Again, love them in both knit and crochet. I think this might also be one of those that I could easily knit, and I could also integrate some of the things that I mentioned previously, like lace designs, the keyhole designs. I love the idea of like a Raglan top that then at the back has a button and like goes out into a keyhole. I haven't quite figured out yet how I would do the like hole. I guess just like decreases and increases, but yeah, really love the idea of that. I actually made a top which turned out to be a bit of a flop, to be honest. So I made this striped one which looks cute enough. I ran out of yarn at the bottom here, and I thought I would just block it as is to see if I liked it or not, because I had a feeling that maybe I wouldn't. The thing is that I get quite impatient, so I made this with double-stranded cotton yarn, which made everything a lot thicker. I think I should have used a bigger hook, because this genuinely feels like a bullet vest. It's so stiff and thick and heavy that I'm totally gonna just frog it, maybe just redo it with a bigger hook, or I don't know what other options I have. I think I also made it way too big. Let me try it on quickly over this so we can see together. Not me saying I made this too big. This is really tight. I don't know. I feel like I'm wearing a life vest, but I do really like the shoulder. Like, this is what I mean with that baby tee-esque feeling that Raglan creates. It's just the way that I've done it. Well, actually, I feel like I see what I was trying to do. It's just so stiff. And this is after blocking. I really thought that blocking it would make it more like soft. I think this could be safe potentially if I go up 1 or 2 hook sizes and just embrace a looser feel. This is kind of a cute look though. I do actually really like this. Now I'm thinking, instead of finishing this later, what if I unravel this and redo this? I would honestly do anything if I could have an extra pair of hands so I can work on 2 projects at the same time. There's just so many things that I want to do. Now, talking of frogging and redoing, this brings me on to the next thing that I want to make more of this summer, and it is kind of like random bags. And this started with me being obsessed with striped bags, big tote bags, and wanting to make my own as crochet. So I spent ages thinking about the design, I spent ages making it, and I ended up hating it. So this is the bag. It is so heavy because of the amount of cotton yarn that by the time I put the things in there that I want to carry around with me, I can't even carry it because the bag itself is already so heavy. So then I realized maybe my dream of a big crochet bag should be retired, and instead I just bought some nice like canvasy bags and I use them all the time. Now my thought process is, because I've already created such a nice color like change and they are kind of all tied together already, I'm thinking of frogging this and turning it into a scrap cardigan similar to this one that I made, inspired by Diamond Knitwear, but I think this time I'd make it Raglan, because making this one took so long, and making it Raglan wouldn't take any less. At least I could try it on as I do it, rather than just having like panels that I can do anything with until I got to a certain point. So that is my plan for this bag, but I still want to make other types of bags this summer. And like I said, these are very like random bags. So one of them is a glasses case that I want to make, and it is based on this glasses case that I have, and it has this like snap closure where if you push it at the sides it pops open. And I've loved this case because it's just so quickly accessible, but it keeps the glasses really secure in there, like they don't fall out unless you really pop it. So I ordered some of these like snap mechanisms to crochet my own one. This has proven itself to be a little bit harder than I thought, because the snap thing kind of like points out of the crochet. So I think I might have to line it with some fabric and then crochet around it. Don't know what stitch I ended up doing. It's just a bit of a thicker stitch so they would pop out a little bit less. I started crocheting around it to make the body, but I think I have to do that separate and then combine it. So I unraveled everything, as you can see, and yeah, I'm gonna make a pouch to then attach to this. They're not as exciting and not really summer related. I want to make a laptop case, because the one that I had since I was at sixth form, so many years, and it looks it. It really has been used well. But yeah, I want to make a new one. I don't really have any ideas for that yet. Not really priority for me this summer. Like I said, it's not a summer specific one. It's just something that I might want to need down the line. So I've been kind of thinking about it a little bit more. Then coming on to the last two things, very similar two things. We have shorts. I made a pair of shorts last summer and I wore those so much. They are really stretched out now because I wore them so much. That was the pattern from Earth by Morg. I had to kind of tweak it a little bit because my bum wouldn't fit, and they were kind of like rising up at the back and my cheeks were hanging out, which I don't love for day to day, you know. So I think I would love to try another pair, maybe with some short rows to just make some room for my bum. I again like a white pair with some different like crochet stitches. I don't know about the practicality of having white shorts. Sitting in the grass, sitting in the park, probably wouldn't do that in white shorts. So I would at least go off white, or maybe just like another fun colour, again like a red or like a fun blue maybe. And because I've already crocheted a pair, I would really like to try and knit one. However, it is one of those where I think in reality I don't have enough time to attempt this, unfortunately. Then never really been into crocheting or knitting skirts, but I've recently really been enjoying wearing skirts, so I've been thinking about making one a lot more as well. I actually made one, however I don't love it because I think I made the same mistake again. Double-stranded the yarn, used a really tight hook, and it just ended up, I guess, structured. Yeah, so I kind of experimented with some short rows and some increases and decreases, and I created this like shell pattern. Love the idea of it again, but I think I was so scared of this turning out see-through that I just went a bit too tight, because this is now so thick that I wouldn't pick this up in the summer. So I think again maybe I'll recreate it with a larger hook, just so I don't have to unstrand the double-strandedness, because that could take a whole day in itself. But yeah, I learned actually quite a lot doing this about like short rows and increases and stuff. So overall the fit of this is all right, it just is too thick. I think instead of this one I would like to try something a bit more open, not be so scared of like people seeing my pants through them, unless it's like full on pants. Doesn't matter if they're kind of peeking through, I guess that could also look quite cute. And maybe also experiment with some different colours, make them striped, something fun. But yeah, that is everything that is kind of on my radar at the moment for summer 2025. It's hilarious that I'm filming this video right now because it just started absolutely pouring it down, which we love. Summer in the UK is, you never know what you're gonna get when you wake up in the morning. I would love to hear what you are planning to make this summer. I've discovered so many fun patterns and designers through you guys leaving comments down below, so please share if you have anything interesting to share. As always, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. Goodbye.